Imagine a small boy sitting in a tiny house. The house has only 2 rooms. The family sleeps on the floor. There is no refrigerator. There is no television. There is no car. There is no computer. But this boy has something powerful inside him. He has a dream. He does not know it yet. But one day, this boy will stand in front of the whole world. One day, he will lead one of the greatest companies in human history. This is not a fairy tale. This is a true story. This is the story of Sundar Pichai. Pichai Sundararajan was born on July 10, 1972, in Chennai, India. Chennai is a big city in the south of India, but Sundar did not grow up in a rich part of the city. He grew up in a simple, modest home in a neighborhood called Ashok Nagar. His father's name was Raghunatha Pichai. His father was an electrical engineer. He worked at a company called GEC, a British company. His mother's name was Lakshmi. She was a stenographer before she got married. After marriage, she stayed home and took care of the family. The family was not poor, but they were not rich either. They lived simply. They had just enough. The apartment where Sundar grew up was very small. There were only 2 rooms. Sundar slept in the living room with his brother. His parents slept in the bedroom. That was it. That was their whole world. But inside that small world, something big was growing. Sundar's father worked very hard. He saved money for years. One day, he bought a rotary telephone for the family. It was a simple phone, but for young Sundar, it was magic. He picked up the phone. He touched the dial. He memorized every number his family called. He could remember a phone number after hearing it just once. His memory was amazing. His mind was sharp. And from that first telephone, a love story began. Not a love story between 2 people. A love story between a boy and technology. Sundar was a quiet child. He was not loud. He was not the most popular kid in school. But he was thoughtful. He listened carefully. He watched everything around him. He asked questions. Good questions. Deep questions. His school was called Jawahar Vidyalaya. It was a normal school, not a famous school. But Sundar was not a normal student. He worked very hard. He loved to learn. He was especially good at math and science. His teachers noticed him. They could see there was something special about this boy. One teacher once said to his mother, "Your son thinks differently. He sees problems in a way that other children do not." His mother smiled. She already knew. At home, Sundar helped his mother. He was a good son. He never complained about their simple life. He never said, "I wish we had more." He was grateful for what they had. But deep inside, he dreamed. He dreamed of doing great things. He dreamed of building something. He did not know what yet. But the dream was alive. When Sundar was 12 years old, something happened that changed his life forever. His father brought home a computer. It was not a fancy computer. It was a basic machine. But when Sundar sat in front of it for the first time, he felt something he had never felt before. He felt like he was looking at the future. He sat at that computer for hours. He asked questions. He tried things. He made mistakes. He tried again. He was not afraid of the machine. He was not confused by it. He understood it quickly, faster than anyone in the family. His father watched him and smiled. This boy, he thought, was made for this. That computer was like a door. And Sundar walked through it and never looked back. He began to read everything he could find about technology. He read books. He read magazines. He talked to anyone who knew about computers. His mind was hungry. He could not stop learning. And in the back of his mind, a new dream began to form. A dream about what computers could do for the world. A dream about connecting people. A dream about making information available to everyone. He did not know the word Google yet. That word was still many years away. Sundar worked hard all through school. He studied long hours. He He gave up free time to study. While other kids were playing cricket in the streets, Sundar was reading. While other kids were watching movies, Sundar was solving problems. But he also loved cricket. He was a good cricket player. He was even the captain of his school cricket team. So he was not only a bookworm, he had balance. He knew how to work hard and also how to enjoy life. He finished his schooling at Vanavani School, another school in Chennai. He was an excellent student. His grades were outstanding. Then came the biggest challenge so far, the IIT entrance exam. The Indian Institutes of Technology, or IITs, are the most famous engineering schools in India. Getting into an IIT is extremely difficult. Millions of students try. Only a few thousand get in. It is one of the most competitive exams in the world. Sundar studied and studied. He prepared with all his heart, and then he sat for the exam. The results came. Sundar Pichai got into IIT Kharagpur. It was one of the best IITs in the country. His family was overjoyed. His mother hugged him tightly. His father shook his hand with tears in his eyes. "You did it," his father said quietly. "You really did it." But this was only the beginning. IIT Kharagpur was a different world for Sundar. He came from a small house with no luxury. Now he was on a big campus with thousands of smart students from all over India. He studied metallurgical engineering and materials science. He was a brilliant student. He graduated with a Bachelor of Technology degree. He was one of the best students in his class, but something was pulling him forward. Something was calling him from far away, America. More specifically, Stanford University in California, USA. Stanford is one of the most famous universities in the world. It is in Silicon Valley, the heart of the technology world. Companies like Apple, Google, Facebook, and many others were born near Stanford. Sundar applied for a scholarship. He worked hard on his application. He sent everything he had. Then he waited. Waiting is one of the hardest things in life. You work, you hope, and then you wait. You cannot control what happens next. You just have to trust. The letter came. Sundar Pichai had received a scholarship to study at Stanford University. He could not believe it. He read the letter again and again. Yes, it was real. But there was a problem. The flight ticket to America cost a lot of money. For Sundar's family, it was almost too much. His father spent nearly a whole year's salary to buy the flight ticket for his son. Think about that for a moment. A father worked all year, and he spent almost all of that money so his son could fly to a new country and chase a dream. That was love. That was sacrifice. Sundar did not forget it. He never forgot it. He said goodbye to his family at the airport. His mother cried. His father held his hand firmly. "Work hard," his father said. "Make us proud. I will." "Appa," Sundar said, "I promise." And then he got on the plane, and he flew toward his future. Arriving in America for the first time was both exciting and frightening. Everything was different. The language was the same, more or less, but the accent was different. The food was different. The people were different. The culture was completely different. Sundar arrived at Stanford with almost no money. He had a small suitcase and a big dream. He had to be very careful with every dollar. He watched what he spent. He did not eat out. He did not buy unnecessary things. But he was at Stanford. He was in Silicon Valley, and he could feel the energy of the place. He studied materials science and semiconductor physics for his master's degree. He was deeply interested in how things worked at the smallest level. He was curious about everything. He also began to notice something important. At Stanford, the best students were not just smart, they were creative. They thought in new ways. They were not afraid to ask, "What if?" and "Why not?" Sundar started to think that way too. He made new friends. He worked hard. He was always in the library, always in the lab. His professors saw his talent. They encouraged him. But after his master's degree, Sundar faced a big decision. Should he stay in America and continue studying? Or should he go back to India? Many Indian students at that time came to America, studied, and then went back home. India needed engineers. India needed people with skills. But Sundar felt there was more to learn, more to do, more to build. He decided to apply for a PhD program at Stanford. But then something unexpected happened. Something that would change the direction of his life. His girlfriend, Anjali, was also at Stanford. They had known each other from their college days in India. Anjali was from Rajasthan, in the north of India. She was smart, kind, and strong. She and Sundar were very close, but Anjali's family was from a different community. In India, this can sometimes be complicated. Marriage between different communities was not always easy. There were traditions and expectations to consider, but Sundar and Anjali loved each other deeply. They talked about everything. They understood each other. They supported each other. Eventually, both families gave their blessing. Sundar and Anjali got married. It was a beautiful moment. Two people from different parts of India coming together in America, building a life side by side. Anjali became Sundar's greatest supporter. She believed in him, even when he doubted himself. She was his partner in every sense of the word. Years later, Sundar would say that Anjali was one of the most important people in his life. She always saw the best in me, he said, even when I could not see it myself. After completing his studies, Sundar faced a choice that many talented people face. He could continue studying, or he could go into the real world and work. He decided to work. He joined a company called Applied Materials, a semiconductor company in Silicon Valley. He worked in product management and engineering. It was good work. It was interesting work. But Sundar was not fully satisfied. He wanted more. He wanted to work on something that could reach more people, something that could change the world. Then he made another big decision. He decided to go back to school, but this time for a business degree. He applied to the Wharton School of Business at the University of Pennsylvania. Wharton is one of the most respected business schools in the world. He was accepted. He went. He studied hard, and he graduated with an MBA, a Master of Business Administration degree. Now he had engineering knowledge. Now he had business knowledge. He was ready. But ready for what? In 2004, Sundar Pichai applied for a job at a small but fast-growing company called Google. Google was founded in 1998 by two Stanford students named Larry Page and Sergey Brin. They built a search engine, a way to find information on the internet. In the early days, Google was just a search box on a screen. You typed something in. Google found it for you. Simple, powerful, revolutionary. By 2004, Google was growing fast. It was becoming one of the most important companies in the world. But it was still young. It was still finding its way. When Sundar went for his job interview at Google, he was nervous. Very nervous. Everyone was nervous when applying for Google. The interviews were known to be very hard. The interviewers asked difficult questions. They tested his thinking. They gave him problems to solve. They watched how he worked through challenges. Then they asked him a question that was both simple and impossible. Tell us about Gmail. Have you used it? What do you think? Gmail was very new at the time. Google had just announced it. Very few people had actually used it. Sundar had not used Gmail. He had to be honest about that. I have not used it yet, he said. But if you give me a few hours to look at it, I can give you real feedback. The interviewers looked at each other. Some of them smiled. That answer showed something important. Sundar was honest. He did not pretend to know things he did not know. and he was ready to learn fast. That is a rare quality. Many people pretend. Many people try to look smart by hiding what they do not know. But real intelligence includes knowing what you do not know. Sundar got the job. He started at Google as a product manager. He was placed on a small project, a project that most people inside Google thought was not very important. The project was called Google Toolbar. Google Toolbar was a small software tool. You added it to your web browser. It let you search Google without going to the Google website first. It sounds simple, maybe even boring. But Sundar saw something that others did not see. He saw that the browser, the program people use to navigate the internet, was incredibly important. More important than people realized. At that time, most people used a browser called Internet Explorer, made by Microsoft. There was also one called Firefox, which was growing. Sundar had an idea, a big idea. What if Google made its own browser, he thought. A browser that was fast, clean, and simple. A browser designed around the internet, not around old software ideas. He brought the idea to his managers. Some people loved it. Some people were not sure. He brought the idea to the top people at Google. He made his case clearly. He explained why it mattered. He showed what it could do for users. He showed what it could do for Google. The decision was made. Google would build its own browser. That browser was called Google Chrome. Building Chrome was not easy. It took years of hard work. A whole team worked on it. They faced technical problems. They faced competition. Internet Explorer was everywhere. Firefox was strong, but Chrome was different. It was fast, much faster than the others. It was simple and clean. It was designed to get out of your way, to let the internet shine. When Chrome launched in 2008, people noticed immediately. It was fast, very fast. Users started switching, slowly at first, then quickly, then in huge numbers. Within a few years, Google Chrome became the most popular web browser in the world. Today, more than 2 billion people use Google Chrome. 2 billion people. Because one man had an idea. Because one man worked hard and believed in it. Because one man named Sundar Pichai looked at a small project called Google Toolbar and saw a much, much bigger picture. This is how great things happen. Not all at once, but step by step, idea by idea, person by person. After the success of Chrome, Sundar's reputation at Google grew. People saw that he was not just smart. He was strategic. He could see long-term. He could lead people. He could take a vision and turn it into reality. His next big responsibility was something even more important. Google's operating system for mobile phones. It was called Android. Actually, Android was not created by Google. It was a small company that Google bought in 2005. But after the purchase, Google had to make it work. Make it great. Make it available to everyone. Sundar was put in charge of Android. This was a massive responsibility. Smartphones were changing the world. Apple had just released the iPhone in 2007. The race was on. Who would build the best mobile operating system? Sundar worked with his team every day. He visited phone manufacturers. He worked with developers. He made sure Android was not just good, but great. Android grew. It grew fast. And now, today, Android runs on billions of phones around the world. More than 2 billion devices use Android. It is the most popular mobile operating system on Earth. From Chrome to Android, from billions of browser users to billions of phone users. Sundar Pichai was becoming one of the most important people in the technology industry. Everyone could see it. But the biggest moment was still coming. Inside Google, there was a culture of promoting talented people. The company was full of brilliant minds. But Sundar was different. He was not just brilliant. He was humble. He was kind. He listened more than he talked. He never tried to take credit. He always gave credit to his team. This is rare in big companies. In many places, people fight for credit. They push others down to rise up themselves. They take bows for work that was not theirs. Sundar was not like that. One person who worked with him said, "Sundar makes you feel like your work matters. He makes you feel seen. He never makes you feel small." That is leadership, real leadership. And the people at the top of Google saw it. In 2014, something big happened in the technology world. Microsoft, the giant company, was looking for a new CEO. They considered Sundar Pichai for the job. Think about that. One of the most powerful technology companies in the world wanted Sundar Pichai to lead them. But Google did not want to lose him. They valued him too much. They promoted him. They gave him more responsibility. They made it clear that his future was at Google. And in 2015, the announcement came. Google was reorganizing. The parent company was going to be called Alphabet, and Google itself would have a new CEO. That new CEO was Sundar Pichai, a boy from a two-room apartment in Chennai, India, a boy who slept on the floor, a boy whose father spent a year's salary on a plane ticket. That boy was now the CEO of one of the most powerful companies in the history of the world. When the news spread, people in India celebrated. People all over the world celebrated. Because this was not just a business story. This was a human story. A story about what is possible when you believe, when you work, when you keep going even when it is hard. The day Sundar took over as CEO of Google, he gave a speech to the employees. He was calm, he was quiet, but his words were powerful. He said, "Google is a place where I have always felt at home. I believe in what we do here. I believe in the people here, and I want to build something together that truly helps people everywhere." Simple words, but people felt them. After he became CEO, Sundar began to lead Google with care and intelligence. He focused on what mattered most. He focused on the user. He always asked, how does this help a real person in the real world? He pushed Google to work on artificial intelligence, on machine learning, on tools that could help doctors, teachers, farmers, and students. He was not just thinking about profit. He was thinking about impact. He once said in an interview, "I think about this a lot. There are people in villages in India, in Africa, in South America, who have a phone but nothing else. And through that phone, they can access the same information as a professor at Harvard." That is incredible. That should give us all hope. He understood the power of technology, not just as a business tool, but as a tool for equality, for fairness, for giving everyone, not just the lucky ones, a chance to learn and grow. But becoming CEO did not mean life became easy. In fact, new pressures came. Big pressures. Google was under heavy scrutiny. Governments around the world were asking questions about privacy, about how much power a single company should have, about how data was being used. Sundar had to appear before the United States Congress. He sat in a hearing room in Washington, D.C. Senators and representatives asked him many questions. Some questions were fair. Some were confusing. Some were not very informed about technology. But Sundar answered every question with patience and respect. He did not get angry. He did not become defensive. He explained things clearly. He was honest about what he knew and what he needed to look into further. People watching were impressed, not by cleverness, but by calmness. After the hearing, one commentator said, "He was the most composed person in that room today." That is the mark of a true leader, not someone who shouts the loudest, but someone who stays steady in the storm. Sundar also faced difficult moments within Google itself. In 2018, there were big protests inside Google. Thousands of Google employees walked out of their offices to protest how the company handled certain internal issues. It was one of the largest employee protests at any technology company in history. Sundar did not dismiss the protests. He did not ignore the workers. He listened. He met with employees. He acknowledged their concerns. He made changes. He said, "I hear you, and I take this seriously." Not everyone was fully satisfied. These things are complicated. But the way Sundar handled it showed something important. He did not run away from hard conversations. He walked toward them. That takes courage. Quiet courage. The kind that does not make headlines, but that builds trust over time. In 2019, Sundar Pichai was given an even bigger role. He became the CEO not just of Google, but of Alphabet, the parent company that owns Google and many other businesses. Now he was responsible for one of the most valuable companies on earth. His decisions affected millions of employees. His choices influenced billions of users. The weight of that responsibility was enormous, but he carried it with grace. He continued to live a relatively simple life for someone in his position. He did not become someone who forgot where he came from. He still talked about his childhood in Chennai. He still talked about sleeping on the floor. He still talked about his father and the sacrifices he made. In one interview, he said, "I think about my parents often. Everything they gave up for me. I never want to lose sight of that. It keeps me grounded." Grounded. That word is important. Being grounded means knowing where your roots are, knowing where you came from, not getting lost in success. Many people become successful and forget the struggle. They forget the small apartment. They forget the hard nights. They forget the people who believed in them when no one else did. Sundar did not forget. Let us go back for a moment. Let us go back to Chennai, back to the small apartment, back to the boy who listened to cricket matches on the radio because there was no television, back to the family that saved up to buy a single rotary telephone. Sundar grew up in a family that valued education above everything. His father would sometimes work double shifts so that he could save money, not for luxuries, for education, for books, for opportunities. His mother cooked simple food but made it with love. She made sure her sons felt safe and cared for. She taught Sundar that kindness was not a weakness, that being good was as important as being smart. And his father taught him something equally important. His father showed him, by example, what hard work looked like, not just in words, but in action. Every day, every week, every year. Sundar once said about his father, "He worked harder than anyone I have ever known." And he never complained. He just kept going. That always stayed with me. When you are young, you do not always understand your parents. You see them as just your parents. But when you grow older, you begin to understand what they sacrificed. You begin to see the love behind every simple meal, every early morning, every long day at work. Sundar understood, and that understanding shaped everything he became. Now, let us talk about something that many people who study Sundar Pichai find very interesting: his leadership style. Most people imagine a CEO of a huge company as someone who is aggressive, someone who shouts orders, someone who is always performing, always in the spotlight, always selling themselves. Sundar is different. People who work with him describe him as quiet, thoughtful, and deeply curious. He asks a lot of questions. He listens more than he speaks. He thinks carefully before giving his opinion. One senior engineer at Google said, "In a meeting with Sundar, you feel heard. You feel like your ideas matter. He never makes you feel like he already has all the answers, even though he usually does." This is the power of intellectual humility, knowing that you can always learn something from the person in front of you, no matter who they are, no matter what their title is. Sundar has said many times that one of the most important things he looks for in people is curiosity. Not just intelligence, curiosity. The desire to keep asking questions, to keep exploring, to never be satisfied with good enough. He also values empathy, the ability to understand other people's experiences, to feel what they feel, to see the world through their eyes. These are not technical skills. You cannot learn them in a classroom, but they are the skills that make a great leader, a truly great leader. Sundar has also been very open about failure. He has talked publicly about times when he was wrong, about projects that did not work, about decisions he regretted. This is brave. Most leaders do not admit failure. They hide it. They spin it. They blame others. But Sundar says that failure is how you grow. If you are not failing sometimes, you are not trying hard enough. He has said, "I have made many mistakes. I hope to make more, because that means I am still pushing, still trying, still building." There was one product that Google launched under Sundar's watch that did not succeed. A social network called Google+. Google tried to compete with Facebook and other social networks. It invested heavily, but it never really worked. Users did not love it. The product eventually shut down. This was a public failure. Everyone saw it. Many people wrote about it. Many people criticized it. Sundar accepted the criticism. He did not make excuses. He said it was a learning experience. He said Google would apply those lessons going forward. That is maturity. That is wisdom. Taking responsibility without shame. Learning without bitterness. Think about the journey so far. A small boy in a 2-room apartment. A family with no television, no refrigerator, sleeping on the floor. A rotary telephone that opens a boy's eyes to the magic of technology. Hard work in school. Hard work at IIT. A scholarship to Stanford. A father who spends a year's salary on a plane ticket. Years of learning. Years of building. Years of growing. Google Chrome. Android. CEO of Google. CEO of Alphabet. Every step was earned, not given. Every success was built on sacrifice, not luck. And at each point, the same qualities appeared: curiosity, humility, hard work, kindness, patience, vision. These are not extraordinary qualities. They are not gifts given to only a few. They are choices. Choices that anyone can make every day, in small ways and big ways. Sundar Pichai is extraordinary. But the values that took him to the top are not extraordinary. They are human values, values that we can all practice. Let us talk about something that Sundar Pichai cares about deeply, something very close to his heart: bringing technology to everyone. Not just to the wealthy, not just to those who are already connected, but to everyone. He has said many times that some of the most exciting possibilities for technology are in developing countries, in places where people have very little, but where mobile phones are beginning to reach even remote areas. He has talked about how a farmer in a village can now use a smartphone to check crop prices, to watch a how-to video about irrigation, to talk to a doctor via video call when there is no hospital nearby. This is not a small thing. This is transformative. This is technology as a force for human dignity. Under Sundar's leadership, Google has invested in programs to bring internet access to more people. Free Wi-Fi at train stations in India. Products designed for low-cost smartphones. Services that work even on slow internet connections. Because Sundar remembers. He remembers what it is like to live without. He remembers the difference that access to information can make. He lived that story himself. He once said, "Technology should serve everyone, not just the privileged." The question I always ask is, does this work for someone in a small town in India? Does it work for someone in rural Africa? If not, we are not done yet. That is a powerful question, and it comes from a powerful place, from lived experience, from memory, from gratitude. The story of Sundar Pichai is not just about one man. It is about what happens when society invests in education. In India, the IIT system was created to give talented young people from all backgrounds a chance to succeed. Sundar was one of those young people. His talent was recognized. He was given a chance. Then Stanford recognized him. Then Google recognized him. At each stage, someone or some institution said, "This person has something valuable. Let us help them go further." That is what good systems do. They recognize talent wherever it lives, not just in rich families, not just in famous schools, but everywhere. We do not know how many other Sundar Pichais are out there right now. How many children in small apartments, in villages, in difficult circumstances, have brilliant minds and hungry hearts? How many of them will get the chance they deserve? That question should motivate all of us, not just leaders, not just governments, all of us, because a world where talent is wasted because of poverty or lack of opportunity is a world that loses. And a world that invests in every child, regardless of where they were born or how much money their family has, is a world that gains everything. Let us come back to Sundar, the man, not the CEO, the man. He and Anjali have 2 children. They have tried to keep their family life private. They do not appear in the media often. They are not flashy people. Sundar has said that one of his most important jobs is being a good parent. He tries to be present for his children. He tries to have dinner with his family as much as possible. He tries to listen to his children the way his father listened to him. He says that he wants his children to understand where they come from, to understand the sacrifices that were made before them, to never take what they have for granted. He has also said that he wants his children to be curious, to ask questions, to not be afraid of new things, to understand that the world is bigger than their neighborhood or their school or their city. These are the values of a parent who has seen the world, who has lived in different countries, who has met people from every background, who understands that life is richer when you stay open to learning. Sundar Pichai has received many honors and awards. He has been listed among the most powerful people in the world. He has been celebrated by governments, universities, and organizations around the world. In 2022, India's government gave him one of its highest civilian honors. People in Chennai still talk about the boy from Ashok Nagar, who became one of the most important people in the world. But what matters more than the awards is the impact. The products he helped build are used by billions of people every day. Chrome, Android, Google Search, Google Maps, Gmail, YouTube, Google Translate. These are not just products. They are tools that people use to navigate their lives. When a student in Nigeria uses Google Translate to read a textbook in English, Sundar's work is there. When a small business owner in Mexico uses Google Maps to help customers find her shop, Sundar's work is there. When a grandmother in Japan uses YouTube to watch videos of her grandchildren far away, Sundar's work is there. That is legacy, not trophies on a shelf, but billions of quiet moments all over the world where technology makes life a little better, a little easier, a little more connected. There is a question that young people often ask when they hear Sundar Pichai's story. They ask, what is his secret? What did he do differently? How can I be like him? And the answer, when you look at his life honestly, is not very complicated. He was curious. He stayed curious. From the first telephone to the latest artificial intelligence, he never stopped being amazed by technology. He never stopped asking how it worked and how it could be better. He worked hard, not in a desperate, frantic way, but in a sustained, disciplined way. Day after day, year after year, he put in the hours. He did the work that needed to be done. He was humble. He never thought he was the smartest person in the room, even when he probably was. He kept listening. He kept learning. He stayed open. He was kind to colleagues, to employees, to strangers, to everyone. He treated people with respect, not because it was a strategy, but because that is who he is. He was patient. Success did not come overnight. He worked for many years before reaching the top. He did not give up when things were slow. He trusted the process. He trusted himself, and he was grateful. He never forgot where he came from. He never forgot the people who helped him. He never pretended that he did it alone. These are the secrets. They are not secrets at all. They are open to everyone. Now let us imagine a conversation between Sundar and a young student who writes to him. The student writes, "Mr. Pichai, I come from a poor family. I study hard, but sometimes I feel like the world is not fair. I feel like people who are rich have all the advantages. I feel like no matter how hard I try, it will not be enough. What should I do?" Sundar reads the letter. He thinks about it carefully, and then he writes back. He says something like, "I understand how you feel. I have felt that way too. When I was growing up, I had very little compared to many of my classmates. But I had something important. I had parents who believed in me. I had a love for learning. And I had the willingness to keep going even when it was hard. The world is not always fair. That is true. But fairness is also something we build together. Every time someone works hard and rises up, they help make the path a little clearer for the next person. Do not compare your beginning to someone else's middle. You do not know what their full story is. You only know your own story, and you are still writing it. Work on what you can control: your attitude, your curiosity, your effort, your character. Those things belong to you. No one can take them from you. And when you succeed, reach back. Help someone who is where you once were. That is how we change things. Not alone, together. Maybe Sundar never wrote exactly those words, but anyone who has studied his life knows that those words reflect his thinking. Think about the power of one decision by Sundar's father to buy a rotary telephone. That decision lit a fire in a boy's mind. One decision to apply to IIT. One decision to accept a scholarship to Stanford. One decision to take the job at Google. One decision to push for a browser called Chrome. Life is a long chain of decisions, big ones and small ones. Each one leads to the next, and you cannot always see in the moment how important a decision will be. That is why it matters to make each decision with your best self, with curiosity, with courage, with integrity, because you do not know which decision will be the one that changes everything. The world of technology is changing faster than ever. Artificial intelligence is growing in ways that are both exciting and uncertain. New tools are emerging every year that challenge old ways of doing things. Sundar Pichai is at the center of this change. He is guiding Google through one of the most important technological transitions in history. He does not have all the answers. He will admit that. But he has a framework. He has values. He has a way of thinking about the world that allows him to navigate uncertainty without losing direction. He believes that technology, at its best, should help people, should make life better, should open doors for those who have been shut out. He believes that with great power comes great responsibility, that a company with billions of users must think carefully about its impact on society. He believes in the talent of people everywhere, in villages and cities, in rich countries and poor ones. He believes that the next great idea could come from anywhere, from anyone. And because he believes that, he builds products that work for everyone. Not just for people who look like tech CEOs, not just for people in Silicon Valley, but for the student in Mumbai, the farmer in Kenya, the grandmother in Brazil, the shopkeeper in Vietnam, everyone. There is a moment that Sundar has talked about that captures something essential about who he is. When he was at Stanford, early in his studies, he did not have much money. He had to be careful. He ate simply. He did not spend on luxuries. One day, he was walking across campus and he passed a group of students who were having an expensive dinner at a nice restaurant. They were laughing and enjoying themselves. They did not have to think about money. Sundar watched for a moment, and he felt something. Not bitterness, not jealousy, just awareness. He thought, that is not my world right now, but that does not define what my world will be. And then he kept walking that moment, that quiet, determined moment. That is the seed of everything. Not anger, not envy, just clarity, just a quiet decision to keep moving forward. If you are in that place right now, wherever you are in the world, wherever you are in your journey, remember that moment. Remember what Sundar did. Keep walking. As we come toward the end of this story, let us take a moment to feel the full weight of it. A small apartment, a rotary telephone, a father's sacrifice, a scholarship, a plane ticket bought with a year's salary, years of study, years of hard work, a browser, a mobile system, a CEO's chair. This is a story about the power of education, the power of family, the power of belief. But most of all, it is a story about character. Character is not something you are born with. It is something you build every day through the choices you make, through how you treat people, through how you respond to difficulty, through what you do when no one is watching. Sundar Pichai built his character in that small apartment in Chennai. His mother taught him kindness. His father taught him hard work. His teachers taught him how to think, and life taught him everything else. He took all of it. He carried all of it, and he used all of it to build something extraordinary. If Sundar Pichai could stand before you right now and say one thing, what do you think it would be? Maybe he would say, do not be afraid of where you start. Be focused on where you are going. Maybe he would say, never stop being curious. The moment you think you know everything is the moment you stop growing. Maybe he would say, work hard, be kind, stay humble, and believe in yourself even when no one else does. Especially then. Maybe he would simply say, the boy from Chennai made it. So can you. And on that note, let us come to the end of our story. Sundar Pichai is still at work, still building, still learning, still asking questions. The company he leads is one of the most powerful forces in the modern world. The technology his teams are building will shape the next generation of human life. But somewhere in the back of his mind, there is still a boy sitting on the floor of a small apartment in Chennai, turning a rotary telephone in his hands, wondering how it works, wondering what is possible, wondering what the future might hold. That boy never left. That boy is still asking questions. That boy is still reaching forward. And maybe that is the most important part of this whole story. Success does not change who you are at your core. It reveals who you have always been. Sundar Pichai has always been curious, always been humble, always been grateful, always been kind. Success just gave him a bigger stage to show it. You too have something inside you, a curiosity, a dream, a question you have not fully asked yet, a door you have not fully opened. The world needs what is inside you. Go find it, work for it, build it, and one day, someone else will tell your story. Moral of the story, your beginning does not determine your ending. Hard work, curiosity, humility, and kindness can take you from the smallest room to the greatest stage in the world. Stay grounded in where you came from. Stay hungry for where you are going, and never stop believing that you have something valuable to offer the world.